today's event. Um, and as you may know, it's about Thailand's agri success and what we can learn from them. So, just a few reminders here on Zoom. Um, we would like to request everyone to have their full name as their display name and with their organization. This is so we know who we are with today and so we can address you accordingly when you have any questions. To avoid disruption of the program, all mics must be automatically muted. When the program starts, mics will be enabled if you are called during Q&A. Please type your question or raise your hand to be called or recognized. Feel free to use the Zoom chat box for any questions or to share your thoughts on today's presentation. Today's session is being recorded, and you may use it as part of our platforms and publications. So I'd like to turn over to our chairman, Mr. Edgar Chua, to give short welcoming remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bettina. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edgar Chua, chairman of the Makati Business Club. I'm very happy to welcome all of you today, including my fellow MBC board members, but especially to one of the most dynamic and energetic ambassador, His Excellency Ambassador Trisorat. The Makati Business Club is honored to have the Royal Thai Embassy as our partner in this agriculture and food activity today. We consider agriculture and food extremely important for reducing poverty, improving lives, creating jobs, and being a major revenue source through increasing exports. Thailand's agriculture sector has been a model in Southeast Asia on how a country should develop its agriculture sector. In 2022, the export value of agricultural products from Thailand amounted to 1.24 trillion baht, or over 35 billion US dollars. In comparison, the Philippine agricultural export value was at $7.5 billion. Thailand has grown to become the third and the world's second largest exporter of sugar. The Philippines, meanwhile, is the world's second largest net importer of rice. In 2022, the Philippines imported 3.7 million tons of rice. We look forward to hearing from executives of two of the leading Thai agriculture companies on how the country became an agricultural powerhouse. We look forward to continuing partnership as we pursue this advocacy. Thank you, everyone, for being here once again. And like you, I'm looking forward to hearing and learning from Ambassador Trisorat and our speakers today. I'd like to turn it back now to Bettina. Thank you.
Thank you, EOC. And with that, I'd like to turn over to Ambassador Tul Trisorat for his welcoming remarks.
Sawasdee krab. Good afternoon to everyone. Mr. Edgar Chua, Chairman of the Makati Business Club, Kun Ali Maramsi, Executive VP of Mitr Phol, Dr. Surasak Bupha, Assistant VP of CPF Philippines, distinguished member of Makati Business Club, distinguished guests. It's my pleasure for me to be here at the online panel discussion on key to Thailand agri success, which Royal Thai Embassy is the organizing partner with the Makati Business Club. I would like to thank Makati Business Club for inviting its business network to this event. And we're delighted to see many participating audiences from various industries and sectors joining us today. I would like to thank our keynote speaker, from the CPF Philippines and Mitr Phol Thailand, both number one agriculture, agri industry company and the sugar producing company in Thailand in joining us at the panel discussion today to share the Thailand success story in agriculture sector with the business sector, business community here. Thailand is a leading producer and exporter of major food and agricultural commodity with recent ranking from 15 in 2022 to 12 in global food export this year. Its share of the global food market has risen from 2.25% in 2022 to 2.47% in 2023, despite 2.3% decrease of global food trade this year. Thai food industry contribute almost 25% of the country's GDP. Over the first 9 months of 2023, the value of Thai food export rose 4.6% to 1.89 trillion peso. It is expected to expand 5.5% to 2.53 trillion peso by the end of this year and could further reach 2.69 trillion peso next year. Critical to success in the global food market and Thailand's national recognition as the kitchen of the world, the government attaches great importance to quality assurances in food safety and international food standard compliances. Investment in R&D and technology in agricultural sector. Furthermore, Thailand's extensive network of public institutions focusing on these areas such as the National Food Institute, the Halal Science Center of Chulalongkorn University, Institute of Food Research and Product Development are made available to assist entrepreneur productivity and industrial competitiveness. The dedicated work of our visionary His Majesty late King Bhumibol Adulyadej, which His Majesty King Maha Vajiralongkorn Phrawachiryaklao Chao Yu Hua, the current king, has maintained and continued, has significantly contributed to the agriculture sector and rural development in Thailand. Throughout 70 years of kingship, more than 4,000 royal projects were implemented to improve productivity, livelihood of small-scale farmers, and sustainable national resources management. Thailand's sufficiency economy philosophy, which is a version of sustainable development, was also drawn from the late king long decades of hands-on research and work in development. With application of the sufficiency economy philosophy during the 1997 financial crisis in Thailand, individual communities and businesses were able to gradually recover from the crisis and survive through those crises or those pursuing crisis in 2008 and the crisis from the COVID-19. The self-sufficiency economy addresses security in 4 areas, which are health security, job security, food security, and energy security, all of which are relevant to the present challenges due to the effect of the pandemic, climate change, and the disruption of global supply chains. The theory has built a solid foundation that supports the government's current effort in transforming agriculture sector through biocircular and green approach, or the BGC approach, to achieve higher value and productivity improvement. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Thailand and the Philippines are each other major trading partners. We have experienced an increase in bilateral trade. volume to 11.2 billion US dollars in 2022, surpassing the pre-COVID level. Our bilateral trade has so far reached 8 billion US dollars in the recent in September 2023. As a testament to the trust and confidence in the Philippines, strong economic fundamental and resilience, Thai businesses have invested more than tens of thousands of billion US dollars, generating jobs and income for more than 10,000 Filipinos. The investment have contributed to the promotion of the Philippine key economic priorities such as agriculture, energy, infrastructure development under Build Better More program, tourism and hospitality, banking and logistics. As Thailand, Philippines will celebrate the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations next year, or the Diamond Jubilee celebration, the Royal Thai Embassy will continue its role in connecting and promoting cooperation between business organizations and between businesses of Thailand and the Philippines. With the high-level visit of Thai delegation to the Philippines next year, we could also organize a meeting with the Philippine private sector or the Makati Business Club to enhance our trade and investment cooperation to a higher level. Thank you very much for your attention. Mabuhay.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Tul Trisorat, for that very informative welcome remarks. Now I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Surasak K. Bupa. Dr. K. Bupa is the Assistant Vice President for Technical and Strategic Planning at Charoen Pokphand Foods, or CPF Philippines. He has previously held posts in CPF Laos and CPF Cambodia. CPF is a Thai agro-industrial food conglomerate, and it is one of the world's largest producers of feed, shrimp, and is also one of the world's top 3 producers of poultry and pork. Dr. K. Bupa, I'd like to turn over to you.
Thank you, Bettina, for the warm introduction. I may have share my slide, please. Calling the host, allow me to share the slide, please, Bettina.
Sure. We'll share the slides.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Right. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good afternoon, His Excellency Thai Sorat and Makati Business Club members. Together with the other online participants who join us today, I am Dr. Surasak Pokphand from the Charoen Pokphand Foods Philippines Corporation, or we can call the CPF Philippines. First, I would like to extend my gratitude to the Thai Embassy and Makati Business Club for honor to being invited me to speak in this event. Today, I'm going to talk about the food sovereignty and supply chain management from the agriculture. Sorry, my slide is not moved. All right, I think all of us is familiar with the food security, but a little know about the food sovereignty. Let's start by differentiating about the two. The FAO defined the food security as the measurement of the access, how to access the food in the large scale. It's making sure everyone should have enough of food to take it. When time them gets started, it's about to having a reliable or the sufficient food supply. But right now, we should focus in the food sovereignty. The food sovereignty, in the other hand, is to empower people to make their own choice about the food that them eat, where it comes from, should it from domestic, it's not from the importation, and how it's production. It's more a bottom-up approach from the farmer to the customer. The food sovereignty is go beyond ensure the food security. CPF Philippines is the one of the CPF group that we have in the industry almost 1 century. It's been known global as the one of the leader agro-food company. CPF Philippines we established since 2007. Through the year, we investment more and more in the Philippines, such as in the aqua, the protein business, even the pig business right now. Right now, until now, 2023, we are the leader of the pig production, the shrimp and the protein production in the Philippines. As part of the centenary CPF, we are committed to fulfill our vision to build the Philippines is the food hub of the world. And our mission, we are the leading of agriculture for the food industry and then sustainable of the business practice, environmental friendly and social responsible under the CPFA. This photo is taken during the 2022 during the APEX meeting in Thailand, where we had the opportunity to welcome the President of the Philippines, Sir Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, the First Lady, and the Cabinet member. During the meeting, both of our senior chairman and President of the Philippines, both of them agree the Philippines have best potential to be the food hub of the world. Subsequently, on May 30, we have the culturally course from the government in the Malacanang Palace, where the part of commitment the CPF will bring the state-of-the-art technology in the Philippines. We plan to invest more than $2.5 billion in the next 5 years to support the government to provide the Filipinos sufficient quality and safe food and accessible price and contribute the Philippines' long-term economic and social growth. In the same year, the President Advisor on Investment of the Economic Affairs, Secretary Federico, met with our team to discuss about the progress of the investment and support from the government to speed up for the food, for the expansion of the business, for the food sovereignty in the Philippines. Move to our operation here in the Philippines, CPF Philippines, we are the food integration company. We have the feed, we have the farm, and we have the food. Our key success is the supply chain management that I want to emphasize and mention for today. The process starts from the feed, the farm, and the food. If you can management or of the supply chain, the first year you increasing of the performance, the cost reduction, value added or of the product that you product, and then use the technology and automation in our farm. That's we call the smart farm that I will talk the next. For our feed production management, we focus on the quality of the raw material. It's really, really important because the good raw material we currently, it will produce the good of the animal. This is one of our projects where the farmer plant the corn specific for our feed production. This in return produce good quality feed while create a job opportunity and the income generated to the farmer. Our feed quality asset is done by the fully automatic. As you see here, it's fully automatic for the sampling. This method also helps to ensure the quality of the raw material that meet our standard that we require to prevent the human error. We have the algorithm that can determine the quality of the raw material per batch that choose for the base of production for the feed for the animal. If you can see here, everything is automatic. You can check the quality of the corn, everything like is good or bad or not, that we will choose for our feed production. Move from the feed, go to the farm level. At the farm level, we start to select the animal good genetics to support and then support the animal by providing good environment and management. It will be let the animal express the best characteristic of the production. If you choose the wrong one, start by the original, for example, the genetics of the shrimp, the genetic of the pig is not good. That's for sure. Even you provide a lot of the feed to them, they cannot grow properly, and then the cost of the production, it will be quite high. And then all of our farm animal monitor is done by the CCTV to minimize the expose of the animal and monitor the animal at the real time. We can immediately attend to the farm if the problem will arise, and then minimize to the expose, prevent the disease shedding to the other farms. Aside from that, our farm is the smart farm that I mentioned a while ago. We identify all of the peak by the RFID system, where it shows the data about the peak. While in our poultry farms, we use the smart camera to see the activity or the healthy of the chicken. And then this camera can estimate the body weight aside from our usual weighting monitoring by use the artificial intelligence and IoT system. And then you can reach the data anywhere in the globe that can reach the internet. All of our farm in the green farm, we also use the solar panel and for the source of the energy for our farm. In addition, we also generate electric through of the animal manure based on energy production for less of the release the pollution to the community. As you know, in the Philippines, one of the problem here is still ongoing either disease outbreak or the emerging animal disease outbreak. We have the disease of the swine or disease of the pig. It can devastate. The pig is almost 20 to 30% of the pig population in the Philippines, and the avian influenza as well. The biosecurity is the one of our top priority in our farms. For ensure biosecurity, we just follow the two rules that I will show next. The first rule is the segmentation. The meaning we will separate the infected one from the normal one. Let not them see each other. And the second one we call is the reduce the risk. We call the infection chain management. We will reduce the risk of the contamination by implement of the appropriation of the decontamination protocol that all of the farm have to practice about it. If you want to entering our farm, that's for sure you have to follow our protocol, because in the farm it's very clean, it's no pathogen. It might be the cause of the disease for the animal. You have to downtime first, and then leave off your belonging outside, automatic take a shower, and then wearing the uniform that we provide. If we not do like that, we will bring the disease from the outside. It might be from the market into the farm. That's for sure if you have the problem or have the disease outbreak. The last one is the value added. It's very important. All of our product is value added for our partner. It's like a Jollibee, Inasal, or the Mac restaurant. Or the other customer is like a supermarket, the hypermarket. And then we also have the food business. For example, is the hot dog, the sausage, the nugget, and bacon as well. Other than that, we take the price of our 5-star roasted chicken. It's delightful yet affordable. I think that's all. That's what I want, the sample that we have to emphasize for the success for the agriculture business. And then I would like to emphasize, conclude all that I talked a while ago for the key point, how we are the leader of the animal production. The technology is very important. We should use the technology adaptation to use in the smart farm. Because right now, the young generation, no one wants to work in the farm because they thought the farm is dirty, it's quite hard how to manage the animal. We have to change the mindset of them. Now all of the farm use the technology. The same in the industry. For example, the industry of the automobile, but the farm, we use the technology the same with them. And then the second, the market linkage and the currency to the market farmer. Because as you know, the Philippines, the price is always fluctuation. It's no one want to invest because sometimes you will lose, sometimes you will earn. It's not guaranteed that you will always earn. That's why it's quite hard. And then we should support the farmer by providing the credit fund and then special interest, especially for the agriculture business. As self-sufficient, we have to reduce the importation because right now we imported a lot of the meat, like a chicken, like a pork as well, because not enough here in the Philippines. that the food sovereignty, it will be solve this problem. At the Philippines, we have a lot of the project with the government. I will talk next, like SWI R3 or the APCT. We have to collaborate with the government or Department of Agriculture to support the local farmer. The one thing is the one-stop service for the permit. Because when you want to have the farm, you will take time around 1 or 2 years to prepare or the clear up all of the permit. Because you have to go to different the LGU, you have to go the national, you have to go a different department. That's why quite hard to the one if want to invest in the agriculture business. One of our major projects, we call the SWI R3. The R3 is the stand for the repopulation, rehabilitation, and recovery. This project is partnership with the Department of Agriculture and then the DBP Bank of the Philippines, that we try to support the small-scale farmer by finance and repopulation of the local SWI industry to contribute ensuring the availability of the pork and the pork products in the Philippines. Even when the small-scale farm are affected by the ASF outbreak or the African swine fever, in the diseases, in the pig, we'll talk about the background. When the pig is got infected, it's no therapy. All of the pig, it will be dead after infected. That's why the biosecurity is very important. The company, along with the local government, provide the piglet to them to let them start over after they have the cases. Aside from that, we also have the variant project with the university, the one of which that our collaboration is seems like a University of the Philippines. We have a lot of the projects with them. I think finally we overlaid the company under the 3 benefits principle, and then which our approach to the business. The 3 benefits, meaning the first benefit is from the Philippine country, second is from for the Filipino, and then the lastly for the Arab benefit. And then I would like to advance the congratulation for the 75th year of the Diamond Jubilee of the diplomatic relationship between the Philippines and Thailand. I think that's all of my presentation. If you have the question, just list. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. K. Pokphand. That was very informative, I think, to a lot of us. Now I'm going to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Ali De Ramsey. He is the Executive Vice President at Mitr Phol Sugar, the 3rd largest sugar producer globally. He joined the business in 2015 and is responsible for handling global trade flows of company units in Thailand, China, Indonesia, Laos, and Australia, covering physical, raw, and refined sugar trades, sugar and molasses trading, futures, hedging and pricing decisions, strategies, freight desk exposures, and risk management policies. Previously, Mr. De Ramsey has worked with a leading public listed conglomerate in Pakistan, and he serves as senior management and has board level positions in different companies. He also holds a master's degree in finance. I'd like to turn over to you, Mr. De Ramsey.
Thank you. So can we just start the presentation?
Can we share slides?
Yeah, thanks. So at the start, Swadikap, Honorary Ambassador Kuntul Traisurat, Kamusta Edgar, and to the Makati team and members and participants, and also hello to everyone else and my fellow key speaker. When I was approached for this project, the Makati team advised us to give some ideas on what's happened in Thailand sugar industry, because it's grown from a relatively small scale to a big powerhouse globally, and Mitr Phol Sugar has been part of that growth itself. So My presentation is more designed towards the sugar industry, how Thailand achieved this success, what's Thailand's position as compared to Philippines, and how there are some good points in Thailand's government policies which could help Philippines also achieve a certain degree of food security, as mentioned by the previous speaker as well. So let's go to the next slide. Next, please. So as we can see from this slide that in the last 40 years, Thailand went from just being able to be self-sufficient domestically to becoming a global exporter of raw sugar and refined sugar. Primarily, this started with the government's initiative to consider sugarcane as a major industrial crop in Thailand. And what that did was push certain policies to promote the cultivation of sugarcane in the country, especially around 2003, where the government started promoting biofuels and biopower, which led to a growth in the sugarcane cultivation areas, and hence also sugar started to come out in a big way to the export market. Today, if you look at Thailand, we can clearly see that there is enough sugar in the country to meet the domestic demand and to become the second largest exporter of sugar to the world market and a global player. This also needed a review of the entire revenue structure where Thailand farmers get to share in the international prices. They get to choose the pricing timing, the premiums that are offered, and then get to share in the increasing prices that come from global commodities, as we have seen in the last couple of years. Next, please. In terms of our internal systems in Thailand, all the sugar mills, about 58 of them in Thailand, to benchmark ourselves against the world leading players like Brazil, India, Australia. Here on the chart, I have included Philippines as well, to give you an idea where the world is standing in terms of farming performance and what's Philippines' areas of improvement. So if you look at it clearly, the farm yields in Thailand and Philippines are relatively the same, but if we look at the farm yields in Brazil, in India, and Australia, much better. Similarly, the content of sugar in each cane is pretty good in Brazil and Australia. India is coming up. Thailand is matching with India, but Philippines has a major improvement point over there, so which comes from the variety of cane and farming practices. The other areas we're looking at is what the farm cost is in terms of fertilizer and labor. And then, of course, going to what kind of irrigation system, which is really important because cane is a water guzzling crop, needing almost 1,200 to 1,500 millimeters of rain every year consistently. So we are looking at what's the area of improvement. So clearly we can see between Brazil, India and Australia being quite a good irrigation system using groundwater, river system, or having their own reservoirs. Philippines largely still relies on being rain-fed. So that's another benchmark area where an improvement in Philippines could help with the growth as well. Next slide, please. Beyond the farm, we look at the factory performances as well, that if you have a sugar mill, you get the cane, how you're going to get the maximum sugar out of it, and what would be the cost of the raw cane at the farm level, and how it goes beyond into the mill, and what's the cost of these milling operations. So as we can clearly see that Thailand has a relatively good cost. However, the flaw in Thailand is right now that we don't have enough working days. Means the operating day for a crush season is under 70 days as compared to Brazil, which technically now is crushing over 200 days Normally, this year, Brazil will be up to almost 300 days of crushing, which is quite phenomenal. India and Australia have similar, about 4 to 5 months of crushing season. Thailand under 3 months, which is quite disappointing, but we need more cane to extend the crushing season. Philippines is still at about 100 days. So that's not too bad, but that means enough capacity to do some more if there is cane in the ground. The energy source, which is a major component of the cost, thankfully is all bagasse. So if we have effective boiler systems, the feedstock being bagasse is quite a good feedstock to keep the costs low as compared to other countries where we see in Europe or in the Middle East, where the refineries need to use coal or furnace oil to power their boilers, which is a higher cost environment. So countries like Brazil, India, Australia, Thailand were not impacted when the coal prices and the oil prices went higher because the energy cost was a homegrown bagasse as a use. So next is what is the fobbing cost? Again, the same benchmark. Back to the previous slide, please. Just the fobbing cost still goes into what's the cost of getting the sugar from the mills to the terminals. In this case, actually, Thailand is doing a pretty good job, and there are some areas of improvement in other countries. So that's basically a comparison of the farming and the factory performance between all the leading countries, and where Philippines has an opportunity to improve itself going forward and gain more independence from importing sugar. Next, please. So this just to give you a global overview of what's happening in the world in terms of sugar supply and demand, trade flows, and the market prices, which would give you an idea of what you can expect to happen for domestic prices in Philippines if the correct actions are not undertaken by the government or some policy changes are not implemented. Next slide, please. So currently, as we can see, the top part of the graph shows you where sugar prices are. Previously, the sugar prices at this level have only been witnessed way back in 2010, 2011, when there was a substantial volatility in the market and the prices went up to 36 cents, which was the peak of sugar prices. Subsequently, we did see a smaller peak in 2016 at about 24 cents. And today, we are sitting at 27, 28 cents. Primarily, this is because of the second part of the presentation, which is your trade flows are in deficit, means there is more demand coming with less supply being made in most of these countries, especially countries like India, which did not have a good weather, did not have good planting, so they're not be exporting. We have Brazil, which is producing a lot of sugar, but has a logistics problem at the moment. And Thailand, which again had a bit of an El Nino impact previous year, so the crop is a bit lower at this time. So we are seeing currently the prices at a record level, probably at a 13-year high. And at the last point of the slide, the bottom part of the graph is actually showing what we consider a stock-to-use ratio, means how much sugar is there globally available in different countries. And as we can see that way back in 2010, 2011, when the stock-to-use ratio had gone substantially lower, the prices spiked. And previously, basis that trend, we can now project that the prices will keep spiking because the stock-to-use ratio is coming off and there isn't enough production forecasted in the coming 24 months, which could compensate to build up more stock in the world. Hence, prices are expected to be high. Next slide, please. So here's what the situation looks like individually by country. in terms of sugar prices. As we can see, around the region, Philippines actually has the highest price, probably outside of US at the moment. And the other countries like Thailand is way at the end on the right side of the bar, second last bar. It's clearly showing that if that's the current price today, going forward, you would expect prices to continue to be higher in Philippines as the production is not catching up and the demand is not slowing down. So we anticipate the prices for sugar to remain high, which in turn would be an opportunity for the growers in Philippines to actually plant more cane. However, there are certain policies that need to be adopted by the government and by the private sector as well, and the milling groups along with the growers to ensure that the prices don't stay at this level. So I'd like to take a closer look into where Philippines is today, so we can move on to the next slide, which looks at Philippines. Next slide, please. So looking at Philippines, why the domestic sugar prices are so high? It's because the domestic production has been lagging, primarily because the crop has not been sustained. Previously, going back a few years, Philippines did have a 2.2, 2.3 million ton crop consistently. However, in the last 2-3 years, the crop has come off quite drastically. Primarily, one of the facts was there was a cyclone a couple of years ago, which did impact some of the crop, but it has not recovered and the prices have kept going up. However, the supply from the farmers and the millers has not caught up. Interestingly, Philippines did have an opportunity to be exporting some sugars to the US, which they have also now cancelled. And they are trying to keep that sugar in the domestic market for domestic consumption. And alternatively, as a result, they have also been importing a lot of sugar for domestic consumption. However, if we go to the next slide, the import policy has been largely very inconsistent. As of today, we do anticipate that next season, Philippines would still need an import policy to supplement its domestic demand. But nobody really knows what the policy is going to be and how it's going to be executed. As we can see, in the last 6 years, there has been a quota allocation under the SRA for sugar orders, which is called sugar orders. There are a lot of media reports on things that happen over there, that whether it's going to the trader, whether it's going to the industrial, whether it's going to the farmer, there's no consistency in the policy, which creates a great deal of uncertainty for us as suppliers. We do supply to Philippines. It also creates uncertainty in the minds of the growers at what's the pricing going to be? Do they get to share in that revenue and in that margins? It's a confusion for the industrials that don't know how and when they will get that policy. So forward planning is just not possible. Even when we have a futures market, it's not able to determine if they can actually be buying that sugar or not. Plus, exports of the raw sugar for US quota is uncertain, means eventually, I think on the third year, if the next year, 23-24, Philippines does not execute a US quota, they do risk being knocked out of it, which could be a big loss to the domestic farmers, because that's a pretty premium market, even more expensive than the domestic market. So those inconsistent policies are a bit of a concern. Next slide, please. In terms of the pricing, sugarcane pricing formula and policy, I think that Philippines is still okay because they are practicing a revenue sharing formula similar to Thailand, Other countries have other formulas. Brazil has a reference price. India has a fixed price by the government. Indonesia has a similar floor price by the government. China has a floor price by the government. Australia does. Each farmer is free to do its own pricing on the New York. Thailand and Philippines are actually closer in their formula, where they do have a revenue sharing formula, which is, in our opinion, quite favorable to the farmer and lets them take a view on the international prices. So that part is still relatively good. However, the pricing formula for Thailand is based on the global market, whereas for Philippines is based on the domestic market. But still, it's a price formula, sharing formula, which is good for both the miller and the grower. So next slide, if we go on, what can we learn from Thailand's key success factors? So as I said earlier, that Thailand recognized sugar as being one of the key industrial crops which needed to be focused on. Thailand also most recently did a Thailand 4.0 for biodiversity and big data, where they are actually focusing on the agricultural economy and how to expand it. So if we look at sugarcane, you have sugar, you get ethanol, you get bio power from bagasse. They are now going for ethanol, second generation ethanols. They're going for bioplastics. So all of that is a value added from the sugar. They're also going for consistency in agricultural policies, which is something that is very needed for the farmer, because when a farmer plants something like a sugarcane, he's actually investing for not one season, he's investing for up to 3 to 5 seasons ahead. Also, to support the farmer, you have to empower the private sector to innovate and progress. That Thailand has managed to do through focusing on agtechs, which is to bring in more innovations using satellite, using weather models, using drone sprays, using drip irrigations, and also going to the grassroots level for modern farming. So meaning if you're planting sugarcane, you could also become completely food independent by yourself by planting vegetables, doing a fish pond, planting some fruits. So that kind of food security for individual farmers and growers is really important and helps them to get free from what we would consider food inflation at a personal level. Similarly, like I said about AgTech, the whole ecosystem for startups to come up with new idea to measure the soil moisture levels, when's the good time to plant, when's the good time to water it, when's the good time to use fertilizers or any other pesticides, all those kinds of technologies are coming in. There is a concern to keep young people in the farming industry, and there's a full focus on it. So that's something that Thailand has done successfully, since a big portion of the Thai economy is powered by agriculture. And lastly is to have sustainability programs and global certifications, because that's becoming a really key focus of any importing country. If we go back a couple of years, it was more focused on using bonded labor, making sure that there's no bonded labor, there are no children working over there. Now we have moved beyond to, in Thailand, trying to stop burnt cane, how much pesticide is being used, what's the quality of pesticides being used, how much water displacement is happening from the natural underground water or reservoirs, and how does it go back into the system, what's the main use for it, how do we avoid pollution, and all those things are becoming really, really common. And the farmers are being educated with these ideas and how it helps them gain additional value from their crop. So if you have a crop which does not have sustainability programs versus a crop which does have sustainability programs, there is a marked benefit to the farmer, and long-term sustainable programs always help the country and the customers, who now recognize it as a very important part of their food supply chain. So that's our side on the Thai sugar business. most welcome for any comments if there's anybody has any queries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daramsi. We've had two very informative presentations. I'd like to remind everyone that if you have any questions, please cue them in the chat box or raise your hand so we could recognize you. So yeah, we if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box or raise your hand. Okay, yes, Mr. Tayag.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the two great presentations. I just want, and our speakers talked about mainly poultry and sugar, and I just want to ask whether the best practices and the lessons are the same for rice, because you didn't talk much about rice production. Thank you.
Would Mr. Duramsi or Dr. Sirisak like to answer the question?
I'll take a first shot at it. Yes, the practices are quite common because in terms of rice itself is quite water intensive crop, and a lot of exports of rice are going out to many countries. It's one of the industrial crops also highlighted by Thailand as being key to focus on. They have been promoting Thai rice production quite consistently, especially on the quality, on the packaging, on the grading of rice, and also getting sustainability certificates for rice products at the farm level. So the best practices for rice are similar. However, rice is still quite a labor-intensive crop, and to focus on having fair pay for the laborers, Thailand has also implemented quite I would say, favorable migrant programs to bring in labor from surrounding countries like Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, but to be treated as fairly and paid a fair wage for their efforts, even when they're working in the rice fields. So similar sustainability programs are available for rice as well. And a lot of the importers have focused on buying sustainable products since that adds to their brand value that they are supporting a sustainable product.
Just a quick follow-up question, if I may, Bettina.
Sure.
It is said that one of our major problems in rice production in the Philippines is because the average size of farmlands is very small in the Philippines, and there is no scale. I just want to ask whether you have the same issue in Thailand, and if yes, how were you able to address this particular limitation? Thank you.
On sugar, we have the same problem. Quite small farmlands, individual farmers, plus with Thailand and the Thai community culturally is quite attached to their land. So they would not like to sell their land as well. We have worked with over 50,000 Thai sugar farmers who are quite small groups as compared to when we go to a country like Australia, where the farmland and farmer size on average is quite huge. In Thailand, we've worked through working as a group with those smaller farmers, because when you have a smaller farmer, in terms of modern farming, they would like to have their own rice paddy as well in there, somewhere in the middle. And when you have a few small farms next to each other, if you don't have the proper alignment and you end up with a rice paddy in the wrong place in that farm, you can't use mechanized harvesting. So we have worked with individual farmers to sort of bifurcate where you could plant your rice paddy in there, and then try to consolidate those sugar farmers, sugar paddies, so that then you can have a harvester go through it in one shot, rather than having to keep turning around at very small intervals to cover it up. So it's to bring those smaller farmers together in a more consolidated, but not take away their land or to still have a bit of a demarcation that this is where your land ends and the other guy's land starts, because that's something that's very personal and close to their hearts, and we can't take it away from them. That's how we have tried to do it on modern farming techniques.
Thank you. I'd like to refer to one of the questions sent through the chat box from Mr. Raul Rebulos. What is the mechanization rate, HPHA, of Thailand?
In the mechanization rate for harvesting the crop, I assume that's what he's talking about. So we are up to about 40% is mechanical harvesting. And as I said a bit earlier, that we are going against reducing burnt cane is because there is still some burnt cane being done, which helps with manual harvesting. So the push from the government is to reduce burnt cane. They can still harvest by hand manual harvesting, but not to burn the cane. The burnt cane process creates to more pollution and also creates an issue of surrounding communities having to complain. So one way we're trying to reduce that burnt cane formula is by actually paying for the cane leaves, which can be left on the paddocks for next harvesting, or it can be used to burn in the mills as part of the boiler system. So harvesting itself has become quite mechanized in Thailand, and again, learning from our experience in Australia, where everything is mechanical harvesting, or Brazil, which is mechanical harvesting, it can be done, except as stated by the last participant, when the plot size are quite small, it becomes difficult if you cannot consolidate them. So we are going through a process where a couple of years, I'd say 10 years ago, we were at 100% manual harvesting. Today, we are at about 40% mechanized harvesting.
Got this. Thank you, Mr. Ramsey. Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up? If none, I'd like to ask one more question that was sent to us in advance. How can we encourage the young generation to participate or work in the agriculture sector? Because I think both the Philippines and Thailand have been struggling with encouraging people to work in the sector.
For me, yeah. In Thailand, the government has to implement various strategies to encourage the young generation in agriculture. They include of the education program, training workshops, and the finance support promote for the farmer practice. Additional for the technology, because as I mentioned during the presentation, before using in the agriculture, if you work quite hard and then dirty and then have to expose for the animals, but right now we use the technology. The technology is viewed attractive them to work in the industry. And then have a lot of the campaigns, the highlight important for the agriculture to make it attractive for them, for the young generation. And then in Thailand, we have the organization is supported by the Department of Science. We have the research center. We have a lot of the projects with them, and then them do for us to have the knowledge and the know-how and apply to the industry. Because we think we are the kitchen of the world, and then we exportation a lot. That's why we try to encourage the young generation to work in the agriculture industry.
If I may just add.
Sure.
Thailand has a young smart farmer program also. And one of the ways that you encourage the youngsters, which actually don't want to work in the farm, is to empower them with innovative ideas to move away from the traditional model of farming. Plus, because this is a commodity, they can explore new ways of how to make it better. A lot of them have been using drone technology or big data, how to predict what's the right time to do stuff, has been quite useful. We have also, as Mitr Phol and as Thailand, also done foreign exchange programs where the farmers actually go abroad to learn the best practices in other countries. And at the end of the day, they always like playing on their phone. So when you have the product which you can actually sell on a commodity exchange and price it yourself, that's something that's really good for them. And at the end of the day, the next generation is not really used to working on a 9 to 5 job. They like to work in their own time. So as a farmer, you have more financial independence and you can innovate, do startups, whatever you want. So a lot of the youngsters have been drawn towards this. Especially we have seen since 2020 where they moved back to their hometowns and have started taking on some more responsibilities at home. And so like maybe the father is still doing the farming, the son is doing the pricing on the commodities exchange. So gradually they're coming into that kind of interest where they can actually price on the market, buy, sell, and actually just by trading, they're making money because they actually have the sugar right in their backyard, which they can do it, or it's potatoes, or it's corn, or it's onions, or eggs for that matter. They can price any of these things. So that's something that we are promoting with the use of technology.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Surasak and Mr. Daramsi. Thank you everyone for your questions. Before we adjourn, may we ask everyone, to those who can, turn on their cameras for a quick photo op. Okay,
Okay, everyone. Go ahead. Smile. 1, 2. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you everyone. We invite your comments and feedback on today's event. Please scan the QR code flashed on your screens. And you may also click the link provided in the chat box. Please note that we may use these materials for our publications. We'd also like to thank our partner for today, the Royal Thai Embassy of the Philippines, and to Ambassador to Trisorat. This has been very informative, I think, for a lot of our players in the agri industry. And I'd also like to take a moment to invite you all to visit the MBC economic dashboard, which provides executives and policymakers access to economic data on the Philippines and its neighbors. We'd also like to invite you to follow our Facebook and our Twitter, as well as our LinkedIn. Before we go, I'd like to invite our programs and projects unit director, Catch Ofilada, to express our thanks.
Thank you, everybody. I'll make this quick. I know we're all dying to take a break after this meeting. So just very quickly, thank you so much to our speakers, Mr. Daramsi and Dr. Surasak. It's very clear that we're all aligned in our goal to support farmers who are our country's top food producers, of course, but are among the most food insecure. I think the discussions today really touched on the importance of leadership from influential people, from government, and from the private sector. Notably, for example, from CP Group, who I don't think it was mentioned today, but who use agri-tech to bring agriculture into the 21st century, but also to support sustainable practices. I know that you guys also use satellite monitoring, for example, to monitor sustainable corn practices. So with that, thank you everybody for attending the event. Have a great rest of the day. Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ambassador Trisorat. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just note that.